Welcome to the Virtual Millionaire Show, the ultimate destination for all things real estate investing. I'm your host, Michael McDonald, a real estate investor based out of Las Vegas, and I am on a mission to help you scale your real estate business. This podcast is designed to educate, motivate, and inspire you on your journey to becoming a virtual millionaire in the world of real estate. We bring to you experts from successful owners across the country who share actionable advice that you can implement immediately. Our goal is to equip you with the knowledge and tools needed to launch and grow your real estate investing business, paving the way for financial success. Before we dive into today's episode, I wanted to take a moment to thank our sponsor, Property Pros Marketing. Property Pros Marketing drives motivated seller leads directly to you through digital marketing. Check them out at propertyprosmarketing.com. Now, let's get started with another episode of the Virtual Millionaire Show. All right, coming back to you with another episode of the Virtual Millionaire Show. Today, I have with me Scotty T. What's up, brother? How you doing
What's
today?
up, Michael, man? Hey, thanks for having me.
Of course. I am pumped because today we're going to be talking about how to leverage credit for real estate investors. And there's a whole lot of things that I learned from you about a couple weeks ago. I stopped by your office and I'm like, man, this is just too good not to tell the people about. You guys are going to want to stay tuned for that. But before we get into the meat and potatoes, man, take us back. Who are you and how did you even get involved with real estate investing or credit for that matter?
Man, so I'm just a small town kid from Kansas. No, it doesn't look like it, but I live in Las Vegas now, just like you. And it all started really when I lost everything in a really bad motorcycle accident. 2015, I went down going pretty fast. I was being pretty stupid and I went down. I'm blessed to be alive, but I wrecked my leg so bad that I couldn't walk or work for about a year. And with that, I lost everything, my job, my insurance, literally any possessions that I had of value, I had to sell just to survive. So I was in, physical therapy for a year and of course, drowning in medical collections and debt. And at the time, obviously I wasn't working. And then once I was able to start working, I just went back to a typical job there in Southeast Kansas type work. I was a millwright welder trying to get caught back up. And a friend of mine approached me asking if I wanted to get into real estate. And I knew I wanted to get into real estate because I grew up watching my stepdad build custom homes all over the country. Like you're here in Vegas, he developed Sun City Summerlin. So you've heard of Del Webb. So that was my stepdad. He was the lead project manager with Del Webb in the 90s during that huge housing construction boom. So he developed a lot of Henderson, a lot of Summerlin. And then we moved out to Hilton Head Island, South Carolina to develop that. And then eventually Oklahoma. So that is what made me attracted to real estate. But just being a kid from Kansas, I didn't know anything about real estate or how to get into it or anything like that. And when I had a friend approach me, hey, do you want to get into development, apartment complex investing? I'm like, absolutely. But hey, you need to fix your credit. Now, remember, all that was completely destroyed. I was drowning in debt. So he said, before we do this, we have to accomplish this. You have to take control of your credit. So there was a guy in our circle that was familiar with credit. He did credit repair and whatnot. And I sold my very last gun that I had to be able to pay this guy. And it was a lot of money for me back then. It was literally all I had. And he didn't do anything. The credit world today is very sketchy, right? It's a untrustworthy industry. Not very many people trust it. And this, like exactly what happened to me is why. But that didn't deter me from accomplishing the goal and the vision that I had of getting into real estate. So 2 months go by, this guy didn't do anything. And so I was in YouTube University learning about wholesaling and real estate and then learning about credit. And I sent out my first round of disputes and I repaired my credit in literally less than 45 days. So I sent to this guy a text saying, hey, I just sent out a round of disputes. This is what happened. What do I do next? Right. And he said to me, if you think you are the reason why, then maybe you should go start a company yourself. If it was that easy, everyone would have perfect credit. And so, of course, it wasn't my focus, but yeah, from that day to now, I've helped over 1,000 people with personal credit, business credit stacking, and travel hacking, whether it's real estate investors, business owners, or just regular people who just need some credit repair, right? Over 1,000 people since then, all because one guy was screwing me over and I didn't take the L and accept that. So obviously I repaired my credit, went from 532 to 741 in less than 30 days. And then I added some trade lines. So my score was rising. I got access to some credit cards, some personal credit cards that I used to invest in my very first mentorship program, which was Cody Sperber's back in 2017. I maxed out both credit cards. I spent like 10 grand on two of them. Like, hey, can I split this up? Can I split this up? Yeah. So I maxed out 2 personal credit cards that I just got. And then I invested $1,000 another credit card into direct mail in Tulsa, Oklahoma. 30 days later, I closed $80,000 worth of assignment fees. But at the time, like I was not financial literate. I did not know what to do with money or credit. At the time, I was actually living in a camper because I was going through a breakup. I was living in a camper in the middle of the woods, negative money in my bank account. Credit cards now maxed out. So that good score I just had completely demolished. I was dead in the water if I didn't close that first deal. So,
wow. Well, first and foremost, man, good on you for persisting. That is insane. I can't imagine going through that accident and going through that credit repair course, not getting it successful, and you had to figure it out yourself. And that's one thing that I noticed from everybody who I interview. It's like they were not going to take no for an answer. They were going to figure it out and push forward. And that is pretty cool, man. So thank you for sharing that. And we're going to unpack this a little bit more. So let's talk about, so you got YouTube University, you learned enough just to be dangerous. And then obviously from there, you started taking that credit, putting it to use, and then taking that and getting that ROI on that credit that you were utilizing. In your case, and in my case, we both spent money on a course, right? I spent 40 some thousand. You spent what, 10, 20 or whatever. That is extremely scary, right? When you don't know, have proof of concept, if this is going to work. Right. And so I want to talk about that leap of faith. I mean, there's a lot of leap of faiths, but specifically clever investor, education, and what was that journey from putting that money on that credit card to marketing in Oklahoma? I mean, you made it sound so easy, right? I know, like you and I both know it's not that easy, but you did spend the money in the marketing. So that was the first step, it sounds like. What was it like from there? How long did it take you to get your first deal?
Well, so the first deal was quick. And of course, that sounds like rainbows and unicorns. It was probably my hardest deal. It was a huge $80,000 assignment fee. And I've never seen money like that in my entire life. So not only, that my first deal, but it was also my first business partnership. That person tried stealing the deal behind my back. Lawsuits came and went, and it was definitely a shit show. It was, to this day, the hardest deal I've ever went through. And I'm glad. Right? Because we need that punch in the face in order to make everything else that comes after a lot easier. So it was difficult. And then after that, of course, hey, you've got $80,000 in your bank account. What the hell do you do? I've never seen money like that before. I paid off some bad debts. I think the only debt I had was my truck at the time, which I couldn't afford. And my dumbass went to South Beach, Miami to watch the Orange Bowl. I'm a huge OU fan. OU got their ass whooped by Alabama, of course. But hey, South Beach for New Year's and the Orange Bowl, I spent around $10,000, $15,000 right after that deal closed, went back, paid off some debts, and then invested another $15,000 in something that I was familiar with, which was direct mail, right? I love direct mail. So I spent another $15,000. So it's 15 times more than what I made that $80,000 on. And that's when I realized I wasn't ready for this. Right. It's not all perfect because I closed my first deal. I was scared to get on the phones. I had 2 phones at the time. When those mailers dropped, they were blowing up. I had pen paper. I'm like, shit, what do I do? What do I say? I'm scared to talk to people. What if I say something wrong? There's so much pressure. I just didn't answer.
Did you drop them all at one time?
Yeah.
Oh, man. So, yeah, fathom that, guys. And back then, I don't know how long ago this was. I would imagine like, what, 6 years, 7 years ago?
Yeah, probably? 2017.
Okay, so that was just before I got started. And I can tell you from my experience, the response rates on these marketing channels were a little bit better, quite a bit better, actually. And so your phone had to have just been melting.
It was brutal. I didn't even answer.
So you spent the money, you knew what to do,
Mhm.
but you didn't know how to have these conversations. So you were probably just like analysis paralysis. Like I'm
Yep.
overwhelmed with the amount of calls. So did you end up closing a deal from that
Yeah.
campaign?
A few months later, yeah. I mean, they kind of trickled in as I'm like,
Yeah,
okay, let's get a grip. If I don't do this, I failed. And I'm not the type to fail. You don't really fail until you quit.
correct.
So I caught my breath, reanalyzed the situation, and overcame that fear and started calling people back. Started going to appointments, locking up deals, still learning how to analyze a deal from A to Z and getting that conversation to where I was carrying some confidence. So I think the biggest confidence booster was actually having money in the bank. Right.
Yeah.
But as far as the leap of faith, when you're already homeless, you're already broke, you have literally nothing to lose going through a breakup. What is there to have faith in other than the Lord and yourself? So take the risk and jump. And that's exactly what I did because I had nothing else to lose.
Yeah, it's so good, man. And I think a lot of people hear that and it sounds good to them, right? But the
Mhm.
thought of being in that situation is really scary. And one thing that I've learned is that, reward is on the other side of that fear, right? And by the way, like you said, if you don't quit, you can't fail. So just take that leap of faith, and you wouldn't have been able to do it without the credit, right? Because that was the
Right.
start of that journey. Is you wouldn't have been able to take the course had you not
Mhm.
figured out credit. So it really starts with that. But for real estate investors, like where are real estate investors that you're working with helping? Where are they underutilizing credit in their business? Are they just not accessing enough? Do they not have it? Like, what is your perspective on that?
So it's crazy. And I didn't even realize the value of the information that I have. Because remember, I know all this because I had to use all this. I had to leverage all this in order to get where I am today. And I leveraged that to become one of the top 50 wholesalers in the entire country. And I joined a group of investor lift cartel bosses, right? And to be in that group, you have to do consistent $250,000 months in assignment fees. And every year there is a cartel boss summit. And 2, 3 years ago, it was in Punta Cana. And as I'm there networking with names that everybody knows in the space, in the industry, doing amazing numbers, what I realized is nobody there was using credit for their business. And if they were doing it completely wrong, using the wrong cards, getting cash back with travel cards, I mean, it was just insane. And that's what really triggered, oh, wow, hey, what I have is something of value. And of course, I was primarily focused on the wholesale and the real estate game. And then at that point, at that conference or mastermind, I realized I have something of value here for people at this level. And so I realized that, and that's when I created my all-in credit VIP program, which is a very high ticket, done with you, done for you service for people like the Investor Lift cartel bosses, right? They have more money than time. They don't care to learn how to do this. They just need what I've been implementing with myself and my businesses for the past few years within their business and their operation. And then so, yeah, we focused on that for a couple years. And then I realized I was doing people a disservice by not putting out content, right? Because you think back, where was I when I first started?
You were looking for content.
I was looking for content, one. Now, could I have afforded Cody Sperber or any mentor without credit? Now, what if I didn't have credit? Then what would I have done? I sold my last gun for $500, invested in credit repair. I would still be in Southeast Kansas, not here. And so I wanted to create something that puts all of that value out there, all in one program, everything from A to Z on how to do personal credit repair and establish business credit establishment, credit stacking, so getting access to multiple six figures in credit, and then specifically how to use that for real estate and for business, right? Optimizing the spend, knowing exactly what credit cards to apply for, how to apply for them, when and why, and then how to use them. With that, of course, you can take advantage of the reward system that they have to offer. So yes, you can get cash back for 1 penny per point, or you can travel and get upwards to 8, even 52 cents with hotels. So 8 to 10 cents on flights. We're traveling the world for free. So all of that, I would not have been able to invest into something like that in the position I was in 8 years ago in Southeast Kansas. So that's when I decided to create that and put it in all in one program.
I love that, man. That is incredible. So all in credit is the community, right? that you created there. So definitely check that out, guys, for those of you who are listening. And by the way, I can't help to think people who are listening to this, hearing cartel boss, wondering what in the world is this, right? So just to clarify here, we're not talking about the real cartel. We're talking about the badasses in the real estate investing space who are typically doing some big numbers. And it's a pretty exclusive group who get access to the highest level of the Investor Lift software, which is a pretty amazing disposition platform. So now that we've got that out of the way, because it just made me think of it, I want to come back to really maximizing your points. So when I talked to you about 3 weeks ago, when I came into your office, I was telling you like, yeah, we put all of our marketing expenses on our credit cards, etc. And then I usually just cash out my points. And I could just see the look on your face. You're like, oh my gosh, let me tell you a story, right? And I realized how much money I'm leaving on the table because I like to travel, right? And I see you traveling all the time. I saw your travel schedule for this coming month and I'm like, man, this is pretty legit. I want to travel. I want to take my family on trips to this. And that's why we do this, right? So a lot of real estate investors, they forget to enjoy these things about the benefits we get from these points. And you're here to educate these people on how to maximize those rewards. Obviously, there's a lot more to it than that. But that was one of the biggest ahas for me, is just seeing how much money I was really leaving on the table with those credit rewards.
Yeah. My aha moment again was back at that Investor Lift Summit in Punta Cana when Ryan Pineda, also here in Vegas, we were just chilling and he showed me his Amex account and he had a little under 700,000 points. And he said, hey, Scotty, is this a lot of points? What can I do with this? I usually just cash it out. And for reference, 1 point per penny, that might be $6,000-7,000, which might sound like a lot of money. But here I am doing $100,000 worth of cash value traveling. So that's Rachel and I traveling around the world, first class only, staying in the nicest rooms, the nicest hotels, 100% free. The only thing we have to cover is the taxes. So last year we did around $98,000 in free travel. We spent a little less than $2,000 cash. Okay. Now most people, they're like, oh, well, you have 2 million points, well, no, actually those 2 trips, which are equal to about almost 3 months of travel, was less than 700,000 points. So again, 700,000 points, it might seem like a lot of cash back at 1 point per penny, or you can leverage those to travel and maximize those rewards, potentially 10x the value of those points and travel for free, right? So the value is 100% in just knowing how to leverage those for travel.
That's amazing. So it seems like these credit card companies make these things a little bit harder to interpret. Maybe I'm just the only one here that's, how do I convert these points? Like, is there a quick rule of thumb for people who are just like me, who don't understand how to convert these things?
Yeah, of course. And I get this a lot, like Robert Winsley, let's use him for an example. He spends a lot on his credit cards and he builds up a shit ton of points and then would just go to Amex or the Chase portal and use those points to book free travel. Now, yeah, you can do that. That's free travel, but that's not true leverage. It's not maximizing the potential that you can get out of those. So the biggest secret is being able to transfer those rewards out to travel partners. So you want to look out for banks and lenders with credit cards that allow you to transfer. So Capital One, Chase, American Express, some Citi, and the Built card backed by Wells Fargo. So with those credit cards and banks, you can transfer the points that you accumulate out to travel partners. Now, once they are out to these travel partners, which if you don't know what that means, is like the airline and hotel. So Hilton, Marriott, United, Delta, American Airlines, these are travel partners. You can transfer those points out and they're worth more within their portal versus being in the Capital One, Chase, or Amex portal.
Gotcha. Okay, that's helpful because it sounds like I just need to figure out how to transfer them out to this portal, and then it'll make more sense, right? It'll be like, oh, this is actually how much money I do have if I use it here versus over there.
So it's extremely easy. I know it sounds complicated, but for example, I'm in Vegas. I prefer to fly United. So you'll want to go create a United account. All right. Now you want to plan a trip. One of the biggest secrets to travel hacking is being flexible with your dates. So you'll go create a United hotel airline account, and then you will shop flights by points, not cash. So you shop by points, and you can see the point differences by dates. Now, some days it might be 248,000, but hey, over here on this Thursday, it's 98,000, right? We always want to search the business class or first class, more so business class with most airlines, but you'll notice in days, they're different prices, right? So that's when being flexible is key. So you want to shop by points. So let's just say it's you and your wife going to Hawaii again. You're going to see what dates are the cheapest by points. Okay, great. Now you only want to transfer enough points out of your Chase or Amex or Capital One into the United to cover that flight. So that's the simplest way. And there's so much more to that too. So for example, keeping an eye on transfer bonuses. For example, Chase and Air France, so KLM, had a 25% bonus if you transferred from Chase to KLM. So if you planned on flying to Europe or the Middle East and flying with KLM Air France, you get a 25% point bonus. So if you transfer 100,000, you now have 125,000 points within that. So just keeping an eye on things like that. I was actually, because of that bonus, I had to sit down with my wife and say, hey, because our next big trip is Switzerland. I'm like, hey, are we going to Switzerland this year? Let's talk about this because there's a 25% bonus. And I want to take advantage of that if we're going to Europe this year. And because I'm traveling so much, you saw my calendar, I'm doing so much domestic travel. I was like, you know what? Let's just not. I'm traveling so much. I'll rack up all my points here domestically, and we'll worry about that next year. So I decided not to transfer. So just keep an eye out on those is huge as well.
That's solid advice. Yeah, I haven't put two and two together on that yet. So I learned something here today. Now, with that being said, I think a lot of people are skeptical when they start to see these offers come out. Like it's almost too good to be true type of feeling. And I remember feeling that way until I took advantage of like some of these 0% interest cards. So interest rates are high right now, but you can still get this money for free from these credit card companies. So can you talk about how you help people do that for personal and or for business?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we talked a lot about travel, and that's more so the reward and the end goal, of course, outside of using the capital to start or scale your business. But there's a few steps that we have to focus on before we get there. And it's first always your personal credit, right? So Michael, it's important for you to be lendable and credible to these banks. Because anytime you go out and apply for a business card or refinance on a house or hard money or anything like that, they're going to always look at your personal credit. So it's important to dial that in. And one thing that we specialize in is repairing credit in literally less than 5 days. It's 5 days sweep. Anything negatively affecting your credit, we can wipe out within 5 days. Now, just because you don't have anything negative reporting, we may need to reanalyze and see, okay, but are you qualified to go into Chase Bank, ask for a $100,000 limit credit card? If not, we might need to add more things to your credit to get you there.
So we typically start personal first.
Yeah, always personal. Personal is key. That is the foundation of this entire empire. So we like to see 740 plus credit score on the personal side. Okay. And then we want to move over to business. Okay. Your business has to be credible as well. Just like you, Michael, your business has an identity number. It's Dun & Bradstreet, Experian, right? That EIN is your business's social. It's important to have credit built around that EIN. So going out and creating a Dun & Bradstreet and Experian business account, that profile, and then adding trade lines to it. You need at least 3 to 5 reporting to Dun & Bradstreet to get that perfect business credit score.
Okay. For people who don't know what a trade line is, can you explain that to them?
Yeah. So a trade line is essentially just an account that is reporting positively on your credit reports. Now, it is different with business. If you go out and get a Chase Inc. Unlimited card, it's not going to report on your business credit profile or on your personal credit profile. When establishing business credit, you actually have to go pick and choose certain vendors that do report to Experian and Dun & Bradstreet. If you don't, you will have a 0 score and be less qualified for lending. So we want to see at least 3 to 5 of those reporting on Experian and Dun & Bradstreet to establish that perfect PAYDEX score.
Guys, is this good or good? This is legit game on credit here. And this is all starting to make sense, man. I've been through some credit courses. I've worked with you on some things, and all of these pieces are starting to come together. Because at first, when you hear these things, it's like, okay, there's a lot of moving parts here, but there's really a sequence. There's a step by
Mhm.
step, which is what you specialize in. And so now that we know what a trade line is, now what happens?
So you've got the trade lines. Now you know what they are. Now you have them added 3 to 5, and then you can leave them, let them chill. Now, once you have that, you can then leverage your good personal score and your established business score. Our data shows that you're likely to get 3 to 5x the credit card limits. So when you go out to apply for your first business credit card, you might get 10,000. But if you're leveraging a good personal profile and a business credit profile, you're likely to see 3 to 5x. And to increase those odds, now we're going to get into credit stacking. And the most important part with credit stacking is the relationships, right? So you've got the good personal credit now. You've got the established business credit. Now, before we go out and apply for those cards, they need to know who you are. You need to have a relationship with them, right? So for example, Michael, if we just met today, and I asked to borrow $80,000, it probably wouldn't be too comfortable, right? But if I had a bank account open with you, you know who I was. I had a business account, a personal account, I had a little bit of liquidity in there, maybe a personal credit card, you'd be more likely to lend me money, right? So just like
100%.
you, the bank is the same exact way. They want to know who you are. They want to know that their money is safe. So establishing those bank relationships with, here's some game, the top tier banks first. Always start with Chase, okay? Then go to US Bank, then Bank of America, and so on and so forth. Wells Fargo, establish those relationships so they know who you are. So when you go out to apply, quick, easy approval. Now let's run it back. Good personal credit, established business credit, and established relationships. Leveraging all that, you can truly maximize not only your approval odds, but your limits as well.
Yeah.
And that is how you get to ask for credit limits. So a lot of people don't know that. You actually get to request your credit limits when
Yeah.
you're that established.
That's amazing stuff, man. And I know people are going to get a ton of value from that. Obviously, this process is very sequential. Like
Yeah.
these are steps to take to get to these great relationships to improve that credit score.
Mhm.
Now, how do you, once you have the credit, right? So let's take it a step further, right? I'm just taking you down this journey, guys. So
Yeah.
I hope you're with me still. We get the credit approved. We did the first part of the sequence. We have access to hundreds of thousands of dollars, right? Because you can give people access to up to 250 is what I've heard at least. What does somebody need all this credit for? If you're just starting a business, why do I need this much credit?
That's funny you say that. So first of all, I do want to highlight our biggest stack sequence was for a woman out of California. We got her access to a little over 500,000 within the first 30 days of working with us and within the
Crazy.
first week of credit stacking. So $500,000. Now, what you do with it is obviously up to you guys. You're a business owner, you're a real estate investor. But before we go out and apply, I want to know that, because I do not want you going out and getting credit cards that are completely worthless with what you're going to use them for, right? So what do we use the credit for? Well, you tell me, what are you? Are you a real estate investor, a wholesaler? Do you buy businesses? Are you looking to start or scale a business? That's funny. When we were golfing together last summer, Tyler asked the same exact thing. What the hell do you do with $1 million in credit? Well, so many things. So again, that is exactly how I was able to start my wholesale journey. That's exactly how I started the Airbnb arbitrage company using 100% credit. Now, here's a kicker that a lot of people don't realize is, hey, you have access to all this credit, but no cash. I'm a real estate investor. How does that relate to real estate? You can't you can't take a credit card to a closing table. But what you can do is you can take that credit card that's 0% interest and liquidate that. So you can turn that credit into cash and it's still a 0% interest balance. So now you have $50,000, whatever the limit may be, in your bank account, and it's still 0% interest.
See, that part blew my mind, right? Because I'm like, okay, I get it. You can put this money on credit cards, but then to be able to even take it a step further, I've heard of people buying houses with the 30, 40, $50,000 liquidation of credit. And it's just being creative and knowing that it's even possible, right? It's the beauty of this country is the ability to do these types of things, but you can't do it if you don't know about it.
Exactly. Exactly. And obviously it's more tedious than that. I mean, you don't want to liquidate a Chase card and then put the funds in a Chase bank account. You're going to get shut down. You
Sure.
definitely don't want to open up a PayPal account and then invoice yourself. You're going to get flagged. Your account's going to get shut down. Your
Right.
money's going to be held. I mean, there's so much to these things, but it is a process that is tried and true over and over and over again.
Yeah. Well, I want to talk real quick just on how this like relates to real estate investing specifically. And so one thing that I've been able to do is utilize this line from Chase that I've been able to build up to fund marketing, like you said, but also to fund renovations. Like we have contractors who let us pay for the materials, who pay for everything on credit. And so we're out of pocket $0, but then we can go to the bank and get a loan to wipe out all of that credit, pay back our lines, pay off the original debt, and be into these deals for $0. So that's the power of it. And with that, I mean, the sky's the limit. You can really scale to as big as you want and beyond.
Absolutely. And that's why we focus on 0% interest, because let's just say it's your very first flip ever and you need a $40,000 down payment. Okay. So we get you access to $40,000 in 0% interest. Now you can liquidate that. Obviously, you're not buying a house. You need that as a down payment. We can liquidate that. Now you have your down payment. You're sending that in. Cool. You've got the hard money loan. You've got the property, $0 out of pocket. Two, how do I rehab it? Well, you can go get a line of credit or a credit card from Lowe's or Home Depot and have that available to you. Boom, credit card. Your contractors, anybody who's rehabbing the property, everyone takes credit card these days. Use credit card. Also, there's a huge protection in there for you. I'm sure a lot of people have had bad contractors where they took the money but didn't do the work. Guess what? You're protected with a credit card. You can do chargebacks. You can get your money back and then start a claim. Hey, they never did the work. Great, you're protected, right? And then moving forward, there is, of course, the refi. So you literally bought a house, you flipped that house 100% OPM, 100% OPM. So 4 months down the road, once it sells or refinances, you can pay off all that debt and restart over and over again. Now, worst case scenario, because we have to talk about the worst case. What if COVID happens? What if the interest rates spike? That property doesn't sell. Guess what? All that $40,000 cash that you planned on using as a down payment is still in your bank account. You still have to protect your family, some liquidity to protect your family, right? But with the credit cards, you're alleviating that risk. It's on 0% interest. You have a 1% payment due every single month on the balance you carry, 1%. So if it's $80,000, you've got an $800 a month payment that you need to pay, not $20,000, $30,000 a month, right? So it buys you time and alleviates risk while keeping cash in your bank for you and your family and your personal life.
I love it, man. It's a great way to get started, to know these things, right? And I believe you have a way for people to tap in to what you've got going on,
Mhm.
and might be through a cool thing called school, maybe. Is that right? Can you talk about that?
Yeah. So if you haven't heard, Alex Hermosi has a great platform. It's called School, Skool. And I did create a very exclusive private community where people get access to myself and my entire team of credit experts. And with that, you get access to our entire VIP program at a very low ticket cost. I think back of most coaching programs where I've spent $10,000 plus on coaching programs, just learning something and not really getting the exact value that I was looking for. And then thinking back, well, when I first started, would I be able to afford this myself? Would I be able to afford me? Now, remember, I was dealing with high level investors, tickets from $15,000 to $25,000, taking care of these people, doing it with them and for them. So what I decided to do was put all of that information into a training system, modules, videos, step by step. So that entire process that we just went over is all on video. Even me booking our $60,000 vacations, I record it all step by step. So that way you understand what's going on with me when I'm planning the trip, booking the trip, transferring points. Everything is very systemized and dialed in. Like, I'm not a very smart guy. So I know the way I learn is you need to tell me exactly what I need to do, how I need to do it, when, and nothing else. Because if you're learning too much BS, what happens? You get analysis paralysis and nothing gets done. So in order to achieve these results, this is what you need to do, how you need to do it, when you need to do it, and why. So we have over 150 pre-recorded videos, and we're continuously recording. Every Friday, I have my calendar booked out to re-record videos There's always new credit game. There's laws that change continuously. So it's our job to be in tune with that and then update the content as it comes. So you get access to that for life. And then also with that, our private exclusive community where you get access to myself and my entire team to help you. Literally, we'll answer questions anytime. We do bi-weekly calls. You get access to all my content and everything.
That's killer, man. How can people find that and check it out?
Yeah, so you can actually just shoot me a DM. You can follow me on Instagram or any social platform. If you type in Scotty T, I should pop up, but it's SCOTYTREGELLAS. And that's on all platforms: YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. I'm always uploading free game, free content. Even my link tree, Scotty Tregalis. You can find our website, all our books, all our podcasts, all our content is there as well.
I love it, man. Go check that out, guys. I know he's dropping some extreme value, and I've seen how engaged those people are in that community. Definitely plug in, tap in. And by the way, you don't have to be a genius to figure all this stuff out. We're both Midwest guys. Like I don't know exactly where you came from, but we're not the smartest people in the room, but we're willing to learn and educate and take action and figure this stuff out. And you can too. So tap into school. Check out what Scotty's got going on. And what's next, man? What else are you working on?
I think this is it's growing so quick. I'm doing a lot of speaking events, a lot of podcasts. Next month's calendar is insane. I'm hardly home. Going to Miami for a mastermind, going to Cancun for a mastermind. I just came back from SoCal, just came back from Nashville. So I'm really just trying to spread this as much as possible, add value. If people knew what I know right when they started, they would be able to start and scale much faster. So really, my goal is just to provide this value to as many people as possible to alleviate their risk and not, put their lives and their personal life and their families at risk because they want to take a leap of faith in themselves and chase their goals and their vision. So yeah, do it right the first time and you're good to go.
I love it, man. Well, thank you so much for coming on, Scotty. This has been awesome. Go follow Scotty. Go check out school. And can't wait to see what the speaking brings to you, brother. We'll have to catch up soon on the golf course.
Absolutely. I'll see you there.
All right, man. Boom. Another episode in the books. Thank you guys again for listening. Before I let you go, I just wanted to invite you to our Facebook group, Virtual Deal Makers. It's a perfect place to connect and collaborate with other like-minded real estate investors. And all you have to do is simply search Virtual Deal Makers on Facebook and apply to join the group. Thanks again to our sponsor, Property Pros Marketing, for supporting the show. Go ahead and check them out at propertyprosmarketing.com to elevate your lead generation. If you enjoyed today's episode, subscribe, rate, and leave a review. It really helps, and we greatly appreciate it. Share the podcast with your friends, and stay tuned for more valuable insights. Visit thevirtualmillionaires.com to see everything about the episode and connect with me. Thanks again for tuning in. Until next time, keep crushing those deals and building your real estate empire. This is Michael McDonald signing off from the Virtual Millionaire Show.